What a victory for the LSU Tigers. Outright winners. Clemson Tigers, outright losers this week. Bottom of the barrel. You were at home. Brian Kelly hasn't won one of these things before in week one, and you let him come in there and win a game on your home field, shut out in the second half with a future first-round pick, potential Heisman candidate at quarterback? Yikes. Major yikes. Brian Kelly hired Blake Baker last year, and they brought in the top-ranked transfer portal class in the country this cycle. Second-year DC with some legit talent. Boy, that looked good. That was an impressive defensive performance. 31 yards rushing. That's how many Clemson ended with in the game. Cade Klubnik, 19 of 38, 230 yards and a pick. Yeah, that'll do for LSU. Because this is not a game where I'm super concerned about style. I know what these quarterbacks can be. They're not going to struggle like this the rest of the year. They combined for 460 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Cade Klubnik had a QBR of 31. Nussmeier was much better at 82.6. Some of us, me, have been big Garrett Nussmeier fans since the season began. He went 28 of 38 in this game. Wasn't spectacular. Guess what? You just needed to find a way to win. This was a college football playoff level game. Just find a way to win and trust that your veteran quarterbacks are going to be able down the road to get into the swing of things and be a bit more productive. But this was a slugfest. This was a high-level game. It was a great win for the SEC. The SEC, in a weird way, needed this game, and LSU gave it to them, and Brian Kelly needed this win. The two coaches in the SEC who I said had the most pressure on them of, frankly, anyone in college football that needed wins this week, got them, and they were both on the road. Hugh Freeze at Auburn, really good result for the Tigers there. All sorts of Tigers in the SEC. Over the Baylor Bears on the road, they controlled that game with the offensive line. The recruiting classes really looked like they showed up for Hugh Freeze. Well, the defensive coordinator moves and transfer portal moves that Brian Kelly made in the offseason really look like they showed up on Saturday night in Death Valley. And for LSU to have only had 108 rushing yards in this game and to have won is impressive in and of itself. But just the fact that they found a way to win. This is a game that LSU's been finding a way to lose. But you know, a couple of years ago, if you hear people talk about that LSU team, they'll say, oh, they wasted Jaden Daniels. You know what? They did. They did. They missed a big opportunity with a Heisman Trophy winner who just led the Commanders to the NFC Championship game. It's how good that guy was. And guess what? If you had this caliber defense on that team, that's a national title contender. If you were able to put up this sort of performance in week one, maybe it's just that offenses were sluggish. You know, I wasn't right in every single game, but most of the time when I told you, yeah, you should probably take the under here. Yeah, the unders were a big-time winner, I think, this week. Games like LSU Clemson, Baylor Auburn admittedly was not. Ohio State Texas went way under. Like, there were a lot of offenses that weren't quite firing on all cylinders. It's a long season. A lot can change between now and the end of the year. But for LSU to have found a way to win this game, really, really good. This is an outright win vibe for LSU all the way. All the way, the highest title you can get. Because not only did you just pick up a top 5 road win to bolster your resume to get into the college football playoff, you also, wait for it, what does that mean? Don't have a loss already. You're not fighting an uphill battle. That's what Clemson is now doing. So let me flip over and talk about the Clemson Tigers. Their schedule is not the easiest thing in the world. Even though it's in the ACC, they play Troy next week. That'll be win number 1. Then they go at Georgia Tech. To do this in front of their home fans, that is a poor showing. That crowd is one of the best in the country. It was a spectacular scene. I appreciate, by the way, I forgot to do this earlier. That's my round of applause for LSU and for Alabama for going on the road and playing these games. And for Texas, you get the same. Texas, oh boy. Yikes. Yikes, Texas. You look at this Clemson schedule. My preseason national title pick, didn't feel great about them after week 1. It's just week 1. But that game at Georgia Tech is now a monstrously important game. Clemson can overwhelm Syracuse, North Carolina, Boston College, maybe even SMU, Duke, and Florida State, though. Look at what Florida State just did. We'll see. That stretch of games, I think Clemson is going to rebound and be all right. That Georgia Tech game, you better not mess around. Not on the road. Not in Atlanta. Brent Key is looking for that signature, we're here and we're legit win. That would be it. And it's going to be on his home turf. Home games, so much better than the neutral site games. No disrespect to the Tennessee-Syracuse crowd that flooded Atlanta with a bunch of orange. Does that spectacle at all compare to what we saw at Clemson? No. Enough with these neutral site games early in the year. It's patently ridiculous. Save it for college football playoff games. Seriously. Not all of them, but some of them, certainly. I cannot stand that. Tennessee, by the way, gets a lean win. I have no vibe there on Syracuse because that is how I expected the game to go, for Syracuse to lose and for Tennessee to cover. There were more points than I expected, but Joey Aguilar looked good. That's a good result for Tennessee. I'll have more of them next week. But bringing this back to Clemson, the middle part of their schedule, to me, is pretty workable. I think SMU could be a pullback team. We don't really know at this point. You have the stretch of 3 straight home games before you go at Louisville, host Furman. ACC, the SEC got rid of that, is going to get rid of that late season cupcake. You need to do it too. Clemson then will go at South Carolina. That South Carolina game, boy, there could be a lot on the line. There could be a playoff berth on the line. If Clemson isn't perfect for the rest of their schedule in the lead up to South Carolina, there is a real solid shot that their at-large playoff berth hopes are on the line. That is entirely feasible. And so their ACC championship hopes, maybe not. They could lose one ACC game, lose to South Carolina, get into the playoff at 10-3 with an automatic berth as they had last year. But if Clemson wants to make it without having to win a conference championship game that they were this close to losing, by the way, do you remember that crazy barn burner with SMU? Yeah, that sort of if you don't want to have to do that to get into the playoff again, Clemson has to go perfect from now until South Carolina. And then I think that resume will be good enough. Because remember, the committee said, we don't want to punish you a bunch for losing to good teams. Well, if LSU starts winning the rest of the year and playing this brand of football and Garrett Nussmeier gets the offense rolling, then yeah, that loss shouldn't be that punitive. You lost by 7. You did lose at home, so you should get punished a little bit more for that. But hey, lost to a good team. In the committee's own words, that shouldn't be that big of a deal. It's not nothing, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal. So really disappointing look here for Clemson. I think most people were picking the Orange Tigers over the Bayou Bengals in this game. I was among them. And my spread picks in week 0 and week 1, 6-7. Not the start I was hoping to get off to, but frankly, I've had a lot worse